located?
Button Valley Road.
And what's its history? How did it get started?
Don and Howard McNett started that in 1956.
And did they own the property?
They either owned it or their grandmother lived in that house there. I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Okay. And were they in the race business before?
Not to my knowledge. They decided to make that track for the guys who have cheap racing, the way I understand it.
Is that right? Yep.
You could get into it without too much money.
And that's, by definition, those would be the stock cars? Is that what that...
Yeah.
Because I know I've seen the reference to stock cars, and then there's modified cars. For the camera, what's the difference?
Modified cars, you could use just about anything you wanted to them. You could soup them up.
And the stock cars were basically off the road?
Yeah.
Type stuff?
They brought them, probably drug them out from behind the barn and put roll bars in them and a seat belt, and away they went. Yeah, we went up there and watched it. That's when they had the creek in there.
Right.
There was a stream that ran down through the middle of the track.
Tell me about it. Tell me the layout of the track. If you closed your eyes and sort of described the track, how could you? How would you?
Well, the track set in a gully.
Right.
Now the front stretch was lower than the back stretch.
Mm-hmm.
It was they had a stand there built on railroad ties, I believe, where the announcer was and the lady that kept track of the laps. The front stretch was pretty wide. And when you went up the front stretch, you went up a little hill. The back stretch was higher.
Okay.
And then when you come down, off the third turn, it was downhill.
Okay.
And if you missed the third turn, you dove into the ditch. The only mishap I can remember happened, really, where a guy got hurt, is the guy missed a turn, he went in there and nose dived in, he broke his nose.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can remember that happened up there, you know, as far as accidents.
So the creek was kind of ran right through it?
Right through it.
So you literally, as you did a circle, a lap, you'd go through the creek at least twice.
Yeah, so we saw that, and the cars would dive in there and start up that grade, and there'd be boulders and rocks and water coming out from underneath them, and we said, no way are we coming here.
So this was 1956 is when it got started by the McNitts, and you observed it, obviously, and decided you weren't going to have anything to do with it.
Then they put plank bridges in and covered with dirt. Then we started going there.
Okay. When did you first race there at the Roller Bowl?
57.
57? What was it?
Not me, Dick.
Dick did.
I think I didn't do anything until 58.
Okay.
But we used to get a pretty good crowd there. And there was no bleachers.
Yeah.
The way the bank came behind the stand that they had for announcing and everything, it sloped down. And the first row of cars would park there, and the second row there, and the third row. And most of them people sat in their cars.
No kidding. Was it pretty dusty?
Yeah, it really wasn't bad because they had a water tank there. They used an old tractor to put water on it. They had dug a deeper hole in the middle of the track where the creek ran through, and they had a pump there, and that's where they got their water, and the guys that needed water for their cars, that's where they got their water.
I noticed in the early years, they, to try to draw fans, they did some fun things, like the powder puff races there. Now, was that fairly novel at the time to have women out racing?
I believe so.
Yeah. I
think Jamestown Speedway had a powder puff at one time. Rollerbowl used to have them.
Right.
Clarine James and Beulah Eggleston, they were usually the ones that won.
Mm-hmm.
Now the James brothers, there were 6 of them. They'd have their own match race once in a while.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that. How would that be set up, and how long would a match race?
Oh, probably 8-10 laps.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they set them up, but there was Louis and Walt and Alvin, Don, Roy, I can't remember the other one.
Clyde.
Clyde. Yep.
And so they had a brother match races. I know I've also seen references to the brothers McNitt would actually go out and race each other, kind of one-on-one brother thing. I assume just to keep crowd interest.
Oh yeah, they advertised a horse pull there one time. They had a bicycle race, and then I think this lady told me that you rode around in Red McNick's stock car.
That's right.
I was there that weekend.
Really?
Where the kids got in the cars and rode around the track.
Kiddie car. I just read that today. I was there. The other thing I remember, a couple things I remember. One is Leo Yeager. He was not a small guy, was he?
Oh, he was a big guy.
And aside from being a race car driver, I understood that on occasion he would go through something called the Circus Wall of Flames.
Yep.
What was that?
Well, they made a bracket and they run boards across it and doused it with gasoline and set it off, and Leo laid on the hood and they drove through it.
How would he? I mean, Leo literally with his back?
No, head first.
Head first.
You know, I don't know. A lot of guys in them days had football helmets.
I'm still intrigued by this whole Leo Yeager thing.
Yeah.
So what was he holding on to?
He just laying on the hood.
Laying on the hood, just 300 pounds, head first. This guy, and then somebody's driving him through this wall of flames.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of wood they had there, but it wasn't hardwood.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't.
One thing about Leo Yeager, we were up at Sherman. Well, Dick was driving, and I was in the pits, and Leo come up and he says, "You want to drive my car in the future?" And I says, "He just built this car. It was a Chevy." I told him, "Leo, I don't think so." I said, "What the heck if something would happen?" He said, "Well, if it happens, it happens." So I said, "Okay." One lap, and come out of the fourth turn, broke an axle, and the backing plate went down in the gravel and rolled me up the bank, and that was the end of the car. First thing he did when he come out, he asked me, he said, "You hurt?" And I said, "No." I said, "Yeah, but your car is." He said, "I ain't worried about it." That's the way Leo was. He was easy going.